Hey sis, have you been wanting to write your first book since it seems like forever? Does the goal of finishing your book just seem so far out of reach? Well, I've got good news for you today. You can write and finish your first book. That's right, I'm talking to you. You heard it from me. You have it in you. And if the Lord has told you to write the book, don't faint, don't lose heart. Today, I want to share with you one simple strategy you can implement to get started with your first book. This strategy will help you identify who your ideal reader is, what you want to write about, and, of course, create a book writing plan. What is the famous saying by Benjamin Franklin? If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And that applies to book writing. You have to have a book writing plan. Go ahead, grab your notebook and pen, and tune in. Ready to build your kingdom business and make an impact? Are you overwhelmed with too many business ideas? Or do you find yourself supporting other people's dreams but neglecting your own? Hey, I'm Donna Cherie, a certified kingdom coach, author, and speaker. Welcome to Call for Business. I know what it's like to feel lost, stuck, and bogged down with information overload, but I discovered the power of taking one step at a time and doing business God's way. Inside this podcast, I'll teach you how to get your coaching business up and running, establish your business basics, develop a kingdom mindset, craft your first book blueprint, all while keeping God at the center of your business. It's time to get clear, sis. Move with purpose and unlock your full potential. Grab a notebook and pen with your favorite cup of tea. I pray this blesses you. Let's get it. Let me give a quick shout out to Coach Steph, who left a review on the show. She said, "Not only have I had the privilege of being a guest on Donna's podcast, I have also had the privilege of a road trip with her. She is the real deal, authentic, kind, funny, always looking to encourage and uplift those around her. Let this be one of your go-to podcasts for growth and encouraging challenge to be all that God has created you to be and not waste your talents by sitting back and watching the world go by." Thanks so much, Steph, for leaving this review on the show. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed that road trip with you. God bless, and I love you so much. All right, so let's get into today's episode. Let's talk about writing your first book and where you should start. I know you probably have so many ideas floating around in your head that it is overwhelming. You might not be sure what to write about, where to begin, how to do it, what to look for, any of those things, and I totally get that. When I wrote my first book, I had so many stories, ideas, and topics that I didn't know where to focus. What should I put in my main idea, or what life experiences should I put in here? I just didn't know really where to focus. I just started writing and I didn't get very far. I might have written maybe a few paragraphs or a couple pages, but then after that, I just really got stuck. But that's why a plan is very essential. You should have a writing plan. Planning out your book is the first step to bringing all those ideas that you have, fumbling around in your mind into a real organized book project in which you can actually write and finish your book. So, as I was writing my first book, I told you I didn't have everything figured out. But I did know I wanted to share my journey that included my experiences, my challenges, and how God carried me through them and brought me out and what He did for me. And I knew that I wanted to talk about self-worth. I had to ask myself, though, those same questions that I'm about to share with you today, because it really helped me to get a clear vision, identify a message, and actually start writing. And I'm talking pages and pages of writing. When I had answered these questions and really developed my book planning worksheet, I began to get into a writing flow. And let me tell you, just having that clarity made the writing journey feel so much more doable and even enjoyable, because the writing process shouldn't be boring or shouldn't be dry and miserable, but it should be something that is doable and something that is enjoyable. Let's walk through the essential questions from what I call the book planning worksheet, or it could be your book planning guide. And a book planning worksheet, it is basically a simple roadmap to help you navigate a plan, and a simple plan, because we don't want it to be overcomplicated, and it shouldn't be, to help you identify what it is that will be in your book, and something that will help you get organized, stay on track, give you clarity, and actually get you to the point of where you'll finish your book. So if you're taking notes, and if you're not, be sure to revisit this episode, because you definitely want to come back and do these steps if you are truly serious about writing your book at this point in your life. Whenever you're listening to this, if you're really serious, I'm telling you, this is really going to help you get started with your book and keep you on course. So the first thing that you want to ask yourself, like, what is your proposed topic? What is your book about? What story can only you tell if you're writing about, if you're wanting to write a memoir? What story can you tell? And then summarize your idea in 5 words or less to keep it focused, because we don't want to have a whole bunch of words. We don't want to have all these paragraphs. We're not writing a book here. We're just identifying what our proposed topic is. And we're not talking about 2 books, 3 books, 5 books, or 10 books. We're talking about this one book that God may have put in your heart to write for such a time as this. And what is that book about? The next question that you want to ask in your book planning worksheet is, what is your proposed genre? What type of book is this? Decide whether your book will be nonfiction, fiction. Is it a memoir? Is it a devotional? What is it? What kind of genre are you writing? Are you training others? Is this going to be instructional? What type of genre are you writing? Knowing the genre of your book will help you to shape the structure of your book. I hear a lot of people talking about, oh, I don't know how to format my book. Well, have you determined what your genre is for your book? Because this will help you to shape the structure of it. And now getting down into the nitty-gritty formatting of it, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to have all the details for that. You just need to write the book and have some type of structure to it. The third question that you want to have on your book planning worksheet is, who are you writing this book for? Who is it? Who is your audience? Identify your ideal reader, whether it's children, students, or a specific group of adults. So are you talking to young adults? And just to kind of put this to give you an example. So for the first part of this, when I talk about a topic, what I said when I summarized my 5 words is journeying through incarceration with God, because that's what I wanted to write about. And then my genre that I chose was a memoir, because I wanted to be a memoir that was inspiring and empowering. And then my audience were young adults, or, someone who was struggling with their self-worth. They may not have been through incarceration, but they could be struggling with their self-worth. And so those were the topic, the genre, and the audience that I was writing to when I did this book planning worksheet. For your proposed audience, who are you writing this book for? Again, identify your ideal reader, whether it's children, students, or a specific group of adults. And then the fourth thing that you want to identify is, why are you writing this book? Why are you writing it? And it shouldn't be because, you want to have passive income. Of course, okay, yes, maybe that is something, but that can't be like your ultimate goal for writing this book. It has to be something more like what truly is your why for writing this book. Be clear on the impact you want it to have. Think of it as the message you're offering to the world. So for myself, because I was writing to young adults, and specifically young adult women who were struggling with their self-worth, the purpose of my book was to really empower them, to help them understand and realize the value of the worth that they have in Christ and not in the world, and to be able to be happy and be full with their identity in Christ, and just knowing how to teach women how to know their identity in Christ. So that was the purpose of me writing that book. And then for your book planning worksheet, what is the unique approach, or what is going to make your book different from others? How will your memoir be different from others? How will your self-help book be different from others? Think about how your unique perspective will set your book apart. Like, what are you going to put in here that's different from somebody else? Are you coming from a godly approach? Have you figured out a formula for whatever instructions you might be given to a group of people? You've cracked the code on stocks, or you've what is it that you're going to be able to speak to this audience that makes your book different from others, and also that doesn't make your book sound like others as well, and to be able to offer that in your book. And then the sixth thing for your book planning worksheet is that you'll want to identify your topics and themes. So what topics and themes will the reader encounter? And of course, outline the key points you want to include in your book. So going back to my example from my book, is a part of it was journeying through incarceration. So there were certain life experiences and themes that I wanted to have in my book, like, of course, my experience with incarceration, some of the things that happened that really gave me this epiphany and this aha moment to build a relationship with God and really identifying my identity in Him. And also childhood trauma, because that was a pivotal moment in my life that changed everything for me and how I viewed myself and my worth. So those were some of the things that I had in this book, but also to come from a place of victory and inspiration. So what topics and themes will the reader encounter when they read your book? And it's really just as simple as that. If you're able to pull out a piece of paper or type this up on your computer and write out these questions, and I'll go over them real quick again. And of course, you can listen to this. It's really going to help you to develop your book planning worksheet, which I recommend all individuals, or if you're a first time writer, aspiring author, to start here with your book planning worksheet. And answering these questions will really give you a solid foundation and a direction for your writing. So to recap, those questions that you should be able to answer for yourself for your book. But let's recap those 6 questions that you want to be able to answer on your book planning worksheet. So number 1 is the proposed topic. What is your book about? What story can only you tell, and be able to summarize it in 5 words or less to keep it focused. Second is your type of genre. So decide whether your book will be nonfiction. What type of book is this? The third is, who is your audience? Who are you writing this book for? Be sure to identify your ideal reader. It's the same thing that we tell ourselves in business, like, who is my ideal client? And when you're writing a book, who is my ideal reader? The fourth thing is the purpose of your book. Why are you writing this book? What is your book why, quote unquote why? And number 5 is, what makes your book different from others? What sets your book apart? And the last thing is, what topics and themes will the reader encounter? And then be sure to outline those key points that you want to include in your book. All right, sis. So it's time to take action on your dream and finally make your book a reality. I really do hope that this information that I shared today with just this one simple strategy really does help you to define or even redefine, because maybe you've already started writing, but hopefully this will give you the clarity that you need to help get on track and to actually finish your book, because that's our goal. We want to be able to finish this book. So I pray that this episode has blessed you. I pray that you'll be encouraged. And of course, you can reach out to me if you have any questions. You can contact me, email me at contact@donnasherie.com, and I'd be happy to answer any questions for you. So until next time, ciao. Thanks for tuning in. I hope today's episode inspired you to take that next step in building your kingdom business. Remember, small steps lead to big results. If this podcast has blessed you in some way, be sure to leave a written review on Apple Podcasts. Your support means the world to me, and it helps others to find the show. You can also pass on the inspiration by sharing this episode with a friend who could benefit from this message. God bless you, sis, and never, ever give up.